Welcome to part 2 of Kicking the Session with Zuby. Hope you guys are really going to enjoy this. We finished our freedom of speech conversation, but then go into hip hop and how that is molding the culture, especially minorities. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. Leave your comments in the section below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'm out of here. Holla.
And it's actually funny because there are things I could say in Saudi Arabia with no repercussion, which I couldn't say in the UK, and vice versa. So it's actually fun. So it's actually kind of funny in this sense, because all the things we're talking about, right? If I go to Saudi Arabia and say, oh yeah, you know what? There's only two genders and a man can't be a woman and vice versa. Everyone's just like, yeah, of course.
Duh.
Yeah, exactly. But if I were to, I don't know, go on certain avenues and say that here in the UK, there would be people who, there are legitimately people who think I should be prosecuted for that.
Wow.
Right? There are people who think that should be considered hate speech, that the police should come and knock on my door and arrest me for being what they would call transphobic or anti-LGBT, or however they would try to frame it, right?
So I want to just jump back to the point that you said there was basically three facets, three different tiers to this, right? This freedom of speech or whatnot, or lack thereof, and how it's implemented. But the second one we got to be careful with, which is you're saying that realm where private companies censor various things, right?
Yes.
But my rebuttal to that would be, here in America, I believe personally that it's almost corporatism. It's this fascist corporatism going on here. So it's by proxy that the government is censoring people through Facebook, through Google, through IG, or whatever the case may be. So what is your take on that? Are you taking that into consideration?
Yeah, it's complicated, man. Yeah. Because firstly, you have to remember that some of these companies may be based in America, but they are global.
Yeah.
So firstly, you have to view everything on a sort of international level and international standard, which already confuses everything.
Yep.
And I want to be very clear, like, I am totally against people being deplatformed unfairly. I'm totally against. I mean, I got suspended from Twitter for saying, okay, dude, right? I can't be more in the corner of thinking that this.
Wait a minute. You were suspended for saying, okay, dude?
Yes.
When was this?
February.
Oh, this was this year.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised you missed it. Yeah. It was quite a big incident.
How long were you suspended?
I think in total it ended up being around 4 days, but it's because I had to delete the tweet saying okay dude in order for me to even get my
I don't understand this, man. I see so much racist and xenophobic stuff on Twitter, and you get suspended for saying okay dude.
Yeah, in response to someone bragging about them sleeping with more women than me. I wrote okay dude, and I got suspended.
Did Twitter give you an explanation for it?
They said I violated their hateful conduct policy.
I don't know, man. This is a scary world we're living in, man. I'm sorry. I just
and
now you're gonna have me. I'm gonna be scared to tweet now. I say some real wild stuff. Bro.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And look, I don't know what the perfect solution is for this thing. I mean,
I don't either.
Well, you know what? I know what it is, but I don't know how it would be. I mean, to me, the perfect solution is voluntary, right? I think all of these platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., I think they should have very, very clear policies about what is allowed on their platform and what is not. It should be very objective, very clear, and they need to enforce those rules fairly across the board and without bias. To me, that would be the fair
right, because right now it's subjective. It's all subjective.
Yes, it's very subjective.
Manner.
It's very subjective, right? So if the rule, I mean, look, so there are, and sometimes they do it, right? You cannot upload porn to YouTube.
But you can upload porn to Twitter?
Yeah, you can upload.
I've seen.
Yeah, you can. No, but it's within their guidelines. It says it's okay.
See,
man, so that's fair
stuff,
enough because,
bro.
Yeah, but you see with me, that's fair enough because that's explicit. That's clear, right? It's clear. So if you go and you put up a hardcore porn video on YouTube, and YouTube cancels your account, then fair enough. You violated their rules.
Sure.
If you say something on Twitter, if you write, okay, dude, or cool story, bro, and they decide to yeet your account, and you're looking at the policy and you clearly have not violated anything in that policy, then that's the issue, right? That was the thing with Alex Jones. So people may dislike what Alex Jones says. People may disagree with him. Someone might think he's an idiot. Someone might think whatever. But if he did not objectively violate policies, then you can't just get rid of him because you don't like him. Well, I say you can't. I mean, you should not. And
yeah, they need
that
to
sense
leave
of
Alex
it's
Jones alone, man. I used to love sitting up watching Alex Jones every once in a while. Seriously, it's I mean, because it's entertaining. Yeah. And I understand when I sit down and watch it, bro. I understand like the context in which I'm watching Alex Jones.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying, and I just think it's really unfair. Life isn't fair, but I just think it's just tragic that is happening in that manner. And then now they've got David Icke. He's been kicked off of YouTube.
There have been a lot of people. I mean, you talked to Alex Jones. We've got Laura Loomer, Milo Yiannopoulos, Gavin McInnes, a feminist called Megan Murphy, a woman here in the UK called Posey Parker, who I've had on my, like, not just, this isn't just sort of one demographic of people. And also when it comes to these suspensions, I mean, these lifetime bans are also ridiculous. Right? If someone violates a policy, and I mean, even someone can kill someone, someone can rape someone, and they don't get a life, and they don't spend their entire life in prison. Right? So
right.
So the idea of a lifetime ban, even if someone did legitimately violate the policy, let alone if they didn't, the idea that for the rest of their life they can never use this service or use this platform, that's crazy. Right? Even if you kick someone off for a year, right? I think Twitter, there's people who got kicked off in 2014 and they still can't use Twitter. 10 years from now, they still can't use Twitter. And it's like, come on, man. You've got to give people a road back. Even if you think that they were out of line or they did say one thing out of 100,000 things they've said, they said one thing that crossed the line. It's like, okay, you let them know, and then you kind of let them come back into the world. I don't like this idea of you one strike and you're out for life.
Yeah, right? That's crazy. Not, and I totally, with everything we've talked about so far in regards to this whole social media censorship and stuff, I totally agree. I'm going to play devil's advocate though and say, contrary to, or when you talk in public, in real life, right? You make statements, you do things. There's more of a responsibility there in the real world, right? If you say something very racist, xenophobic, or whatnot, there are real world consequences socially, right? I mean, the people see your face, they know who you are, you can physically be attacked or whatnot. But online, it's a whole nother game, man. It is a whole nother game. So again, I don't think they're doing it properly, but how do you manage, or is it a right way to just say it's a free-for-all online? Because I think at that point it's just going to be horrible.
Yeah.
Because there's no consequence. There's no consequences for your actions online.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, look, I don't care what rules social media platforms make, as long as they are clear, objective, and applied equally to all people. So if you want to have, if you want to create a literal online safe space, right? You want a place where people are not allowed to swear. You cannot talk about certain subjects. You're not allowed to discuss politics. You're welcome to do that. You can make a forum online, and you have a right to make a forum online where, you know what, no political or religious discussion is even allowed. That's fine. If that's how you want to make your platform, that's fine. You're creating a platform for children. Cool. We don't want any violent content whatsoever. We don't want any depictions of blood. We don't want any swearing or music with bad language or profanity, right? You can make all of these rules. That is totally fine, but they need to be clear. They need to be objective, and you can't have a situation where you like somebody and they're totally violating the policies, but you keep them on because you like them. And then you've got someone else who you arbitrarily don't like, and they're playing within the rules, but you just kick them out. Think of it like sports, right? Think of any sport that you like. It has clear rules, right? Sure. Sometimes it can. Sometimes you might need to seek a video referee, or you may need to watch something in slow motion to see what happens. But we all know, imagine you're watching a basketball game and the referee just has he personally doesn't like one of the players. And so he's just penalizing that player for no reason. We'd be like, what? This is crazy. You can't do that, right? He's not breaking the rules, right? And then you have another guy who's going around the court and he's like pushing people and elbowing people. And the ref is just like, cool, nah, it's fine. To me, it's the same thing, right? In basketball, you have, look, these are the rules. These are the guidelines. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. Everybody knows. Let's play by these rules and let's go. So I think that's what I think these platforms need to do, so that if there is someone's tweet or picture or whatever gets flagged and someone is like, hey, this violates this policy, right? Someone is there saying, hey, N-word, I'm going to kill you. Okay. That violates the policy. Someone can look in the policy and clearly say, okay, this violates it. No question. It's objective. It's clear. So, okay, whatever the punishment you decide is, whether the person just has to delete it or maybe they get their account suspended for a while. I don't know what the rules are. Sorry, I don't know what the sort of punishments would be or the repercussions would be, but that's also for them to decide. I just think, like I said, it just needs to be clear and it needs to be applied fairly. You can't just be, we just don't like this person. So, right. I disagree with Alex Jones's politics, or I don't like that he once said that. So he cannot even, he can't exist on the internet. He can't.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, man, here in America, in many states, they were trying to take away some of the Confederate military leaders from statue, as far as statues. I'm like, you can't erase the past. Like, erasing the past is a dangerous, slippery slope, bro. Like, right or wrong, you don't do that, man. You just do not try to recreate the past. And
you know what? Do you know what sums up everything we've been saying for a while, and what I think is a really good perspective on this? And I want to say that I borrowed this from someone, but I don't know who from. But a good rule or a good policy, this could be from low level to national level. A good rule or a good policy would be one that you would be happy to give to your opposition. Right? So if someone is in favor, and I have this conversation with people a lot, because I've come across people who don't agree with the idea of sort of freedom of speech, for example. They say, no, you shouldn't be, or more likely they'll say that they support freedom of speech, but they don't support hate speech. That's how they like to frame it. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to go with you. So who decides who gets to decide what hate speech is? Right. And they themselves obviously think that they are the moral arbiter. And I'll go, okay, well, let me tell you what. Okay. Again, as someone who grew up in Saudi Arabia, if you want to go out and you want to make a big deal about advocating for LGBT stuff, they consider that hate speech. Okay. So you can see the problem here already. Assuming, right? Because oftentimes the person making this argument will be someone who's more liberal, progressive, etc. And I'll say, okay, a lot of the stuff you talk about and a lot of the stuff you stand for, there are multiple countries in this world where they will put you in prison for talking about those things because they consider that hate speech towards their religion and towards their sensibilities. Right? So who gets to decide? And they're like, oh, well, it shouldn't be that person who makes the rules. And I'm like, okay, well, why should it be you? Right?
Yeah.
I don't like profanity. If I don't like cursing and I want to make a law that says you may not curse, or I want to make a law that says you may not say anything against my God or my religion, etc., then it's a very slippery slope, because this is that's why it's a bad policy, because you would not be happy to give that power to people who oppose you.
Right.
What I mean? Right. So if you're going to give people, before you kind of give anyone that power, thinking that, oh, the people making the laws are always going to be people on your side, then you may want to think about what would happen if you gave that same power to people who are in opposition to you. Would they be able to use that to, shun you into silence, or to imprison you, or to harm you in any other way? And if the answer is yes, then it's probably not probably not a good policy. It's probably not being done. It's probably not being approached in the right way.
Yeah, no, good points there. So let's talk about hip hop and the irony of hip hop. I saw you put a great video out the other day about black. What was the title of it? Talking about
wow,
black killing, or what was the title of that video?
The title was "Black Murder is Normal."
Black murder is normal. I'm in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. Okay. Normally, year to year, on the murder capital, up there on the list is either number 5 through 1, somewhere, depending on how we feel in that year. And so I grew up in inner city. I've seen violence. I grew up. I'm a hip hop head. I'm an '80s baby. Grew up in listening to the '90s era of hip hop and stuff. And it was interesting hearing you say that. And it actually kind of resonated and made me think about, I don't know if you saw the stand-up that Dave Chappelle did, his last one on Netflix.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, he really hit a nerve there on a lot of topics, and I agree with you. But as far as the whole how it's okay for me as a black person to murder, kill, nigga this, nigga that. I got the gat, this and that. And then it's okay for culture to accept that, but once you cross that line, it's not okay, right? I can't say I'm gonna kill a white dude, I'm gonna do this and that.
No.
Why do you think hip hop has evolved in that way? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. Like, I like that type of music. Like,
dude, when I make a lot of statements, this is something people don't necessarily understand about me. So when I say a lot of things, I am also questioning my own position or belief on something. You see what I mean? So when I say that, so I myself am somewhat numb to certain rap lyrics.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I can be in the gym listening to some aggressive, listening to DMX. Or whatever, right? And I can be doing that and pumping, and at the same time, I can be thinking, why am I listening to this? Why am I enjoying this?
Zoob, I don't even ask myself that. That's the problem. Yeah. I don't even ask
my. I honestly don't think most people do.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult one. So I'll get to the exact question, but the line between, especially when it comes to something like hip hop, the line between entertainment and reality, as we have seen many, many times, is very blurry. It's dangerously blurry. I don't know how many rappers need to get shot and killed for people to realize this, right? Because people like to jump to it's just entertainment. It has no real world. I'm like, come on, man. How many times are we going to pretend that nothing has real world repercussions when you can see it multiple times? Now, is this the main reason? Am I coming with the argument that the reason for violence in society is violent video games and movies and music? No, that's not my argument. But as an artist myself, I can tell you, I have had hundreds, thousands of people online and offline tell me that they find my music inspiring, positive. It's helped them get through difficult situations. It puts them in a better mood. It's helped their life in various ways. Everybody accepts that music can have a positive impact on people and society. We all
now let me ask you this though, because do you think you would be further in your rap career if you, and I know the answer, but I want to hear what you have to say about this, further in your rap career if you were a murder, kill, fit the mold of a black man in hip hop?
Man, maybe. If I were from, I'll tell you the reason. I'll tell you why I say maybe. Because if I were from a certain background, so I'm not from your background. I'm not from Detroit, right? I didn't grow up in the inner city. If I did, I think I could probably say yes. Okay.
No, man, listen. It's a lot of rappers out here, Zuby, that are not necessarily from the hood. Like, they may have
I know that too.
You know what I'm saying? And they get away. Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah.
You know, that's a prime example. He's not a blood. He's not a real gangster.
Yeah, I think maybe it depends on how it was sold, because I think
Yeah,
if it
exactly.
were sold in a way that is believable, then yeah, probably. If not, and then the internet is easy, people can find my background and see,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he grew up here, or
Mm-hmm.
he went to Oxford University. Why is he?
Right.
Then obviously that could backfire.
Correct.
But yeah, I think for someone who is from an inner city area or is from certain cities or whatever, then yeah, I do think that it is. And this is really the point I was making in the video, is that, oh man, how do I put it? This is hard. It's like the expectations and what is considered normal for certain people or categories of people or demographics, etc., is it varies from it varies between groups. And I think it is hard to deny. I think that we have plenty of evidence now, after decades and perhaps even centuries, that the expectations of Black people, perhaps not globally, but certainly, I mean, certainly in the West, most definitely in America. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not American, so I don't want to kind of seem like I'm speaking on behalf of Black Americans or whatever. But I think it's undeniable that the societal expectations of, say, Black Americans or Black people in general, for multiple reasons and in a lot of ways, are not necessarily the same as they are for other demographics. Okay.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I think that they're similar to this. This is really the point I was making in the video, is I think that society has become, for various reasons, somewhat numb to Black on Black violence, crime, murder, etc. It has been normalized through various forms of media, through various forms of music, entertainment, etc. Some of that may come externally. A lot of it comes internally.
Yep.
Right? And this is sort of the point I was making. That's why I said, look, if you had a white rapper who was talking specifically about killing white people, right? Explicitly, like actually saying white people or whiteys or whatever, right? We'd be like, that person's crazy.
Yep.
Right? What's up? And people tried to say, oh, Eminem talks about killing people. Eminem, one, he talks a lot in an alter ego and satirically. And two, he talks about killing people in general. Right? If I say that, we know how the English language works, okay? If I say people are stupid, that's taken in one way. If I say Black people are stupid, totally different, right? Those are two very different statements.
Very.
You could say that the second one should be inferred from the first one, because Black people are a subcategory of people, but that's not how language works. So if you're going on a record and you're saying, I'm gonna shoot, kill, murder that nigga, this, nigga this, nigga that, I'm gonna shoot that nigga, stab that nigga, you are specifically talking about violence against Black people, right? As in, if a white person made this song, you would be like, okay, we actually found a Nazi, right? We found it. We'd be like, oh wow, this guy's actually, like this guy's wild. This guy, we got this guy talking about how he's gonna kill Black. We'd be like, what? Like, this is
we actually found a Nazi.
They really do exist. Yeah, we found the real one. Like, it's true, right? We'd be like, this is crazy.
Very true.
Or an Asian rapper comes on and starts talking about killing, we'd be like, this is the craziest thing. Or if a Black rapper came and started talking about, replace the N word with the word Jew. Right? You'd be like, whoa, this guy is wildin'. This guy's crazy. He's here talking about shooting Jewish people. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But if it's a Black guy talking about Black people, that's normal. And I'm just like, why? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know why, man.
It's a big question,
really
isn't it? It's kind of like, man,
I don't know if it was done in a nefarious way by some, you can go conspiratorial, you can put the tinfoil hat on, and I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know why it evolved into that.
And you know, the craziest thing is that there are a lot of people, and there will be a lot of people who are more angry at me for asking that question than they would be if I was making songs talking about killing niggas.
I know.
And that's crazy. It's like, whoa, I don't even think people want to ask this question because people get indignant and angry that you're even asking or you're even questioning. And I've had people say that I mean, a couple comments under the video already are saying that I'm being, oh gosh, I had someone say that I am the reason why people like me are the reason why Black people aren't progressing or whatever, because I am being critical of
get out of here,
right? And you're just like, and you're like, really? So me saying that it's not good for us to be talking about killing each other, that is worse than me talking about killing each other. Like, what? Think of that in your own head. How have you reached the stage where you think that? Why are you so keen to defend the violence here? And it goes beyond music too, because even if you look at I mean, you live in Detroit, right? So you'll get local news and have local information and stuff. But say for me, as someone who is outside of the U.S., if I just look up statistics, okay, or we had that, it sort of dwindled down now. But let's look at a movement. Let's look at something like Black Lives Matter. Okay, okay. So again, this can be split into two parts. So this is one thing is the movement. The other is the sentence. So I don't think anybody disagrees with that sentence.
Right.
Black Lives Matter.
Well, most wouldn't. Yes.
Yeah. Black Lives Matter. Agreed. Right. White Lives Matter. I agree. Asian Lives Matter. Agree. Right. I think everyone matters. Right. But so Black Lives Matter, what as a movement, it seems like what it really means to me is Black Lives Matter if they're killed by a white police officer.
But not when they're killed by another Black person.
Exactly. So, but I'm taking this at face value. I'm saying, wait, you're saying Black Lives Matter. So if you're looking at a city like Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, New York, LA, places where hundreds, thousands of Black people are being killed by other Black people primarily, why is the response so muted for those hundreds or thousands of murders or violent acts? Why is that so muted compared to a single incident where a Black man or woman might get shot by a white police officer in a situation that is egregious or sometimes borderline or even sometimes justified, right? Depending on the case, right? People lump all these cases together, but they're not all the same. So why is there such a huge difference? So you're screaming about the not even 1%, but totally ignoring the 99%, right? Wouldn't the logical thing to be to do, if the goal is to protect lives and to save lives, wouldn't it make more sense to go, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at what's going on in 95% of these cases here. What's going on and what can we do? What can we address? What are the factors that are playing into this? And is there anything within our community or culture or something which may be propagating this, right? Sure, there can be external factors too, and you've always got both. But why should 100% of it be on those ones when that makes up maybe 3 or 5%?
Because dude, that's reality. Unfortunately,
yeah,
the 1% mess it up for everybody else, or they take that and extrapolate it out to everyone else. Going back to the whole LGBT thing, right? The whole, I don't know if you know, at least here in the United States, there are a couple of states where they were trying to change, and they actually did change legislation to where they couldn't have male-female restrooms.
Restrooms, yeah.
And
it's weird. I mean,
and it's like 0.5% of the people are that way where they would care about that, and it just boom. Now we got to all be a certain way. So
yeah, it's a weird thing. It's a weird phenomenon, and like I said before, man, I think one of the biggest problems in modern Western society is cowardice and an unwillingness to be honest and authentic and just tell the truth, right? And this is the problem I have with so-called political correctness, right? Because some people are just like, oh, political correctness is just being polite. And I'm like, no, like, I'm happy to be polite. Like, I'm not trying to, when I say I don't like political correctness, I don't mean that I want you to, I want white people to run up to me and call me the N-word or whatever. Like, that's
right.
that's a totally different thing, right? I'm very pro. We started this conversation by talking about being polite and courteous to other people. Yeah. I totally believe that. But political correctness is a problem, and it can even be literally dangerous when it prevents people from talking openly about legitimate issues, or not allowing, having some things that are just totally taboo. You can't even talk about this. And if you even try to, there are going to be repercussions. Then that's a problem. I mean, the term political correctness itself, I mean, wasn't it? I think that term was created by the Soviet Union, right? Under communist regime, because politically correct meant that it went along with the political ideology at the time. So anything that went along and supported communist propaganda was deemed as politically correct, and that was not, was deemed as politically incorrect. And most people won't know this because people just use terms, but they're not really thinking of what it means. Why is it politically correct? It's like, well, that's what it sort of stems from. And so that can certainly go too far when it obfuscates the conversation and it prevents us from getting to the heart of some of these issues, right? Let's take the situation we are talking about, okay? If you want to, I mean, two of the things we've talked about, in fact, we talked about this whole transgender situation in sports. We talked about this issue of violence in society. If you want to address either of those issues honestly, you have to be willing to potentially offend people. And if you don't
to do that, though.
Yes. And if you don't allow that, you will never address the issue. You'll never address the issue. So I would rather, look, someone can call me whatever names or slurs or whatever they want. To me, I don't care, because what I am trying to address is a much bigger situation. If you would rather have young Black men and women, or people in general, getting shot, stabbed, killed, etc., in very disproportionate numbers, in awful circumstances, in inner cities, in the UK, in the USA, in lots of different countries, if you think that, if you'd rather have that happen and keep on happening than be willing to address the issue head on for the sake of being PC or coming across like you're on the right side of history or whatever, then I think you're actually doing a massive disservice to those people and to people who actually want this addressed. Like, I would rather have someone come out, give us the facts, even if the facts offend you, just tell the truth, be authentic. Let's discuss what's going on, right? What are the issues? Okay, how many of these people committing these crimes, how many of them are in poverty? How many of them do not have fathers or father figures in their lives? How many of them are in this situation? What are the influences coming in? All of this stuff needs to be addressed, and it needs to be talked about openly. But as soon as you mention fatherless homes, you're going to get someone who is a single mother or was raised by a single mother and says, hey, you're not allowed to talk about that because I find that personally, I'm taking that personally. And it's like, no, I'm not talking about individual people. But if you find that 80% of men in prison didn't have their fathers in their lives,
there's a correlation there. You got to look at that.
Yes, we can't ignore this, right? If we saw any other kind of correlation like this, we would be like, oh, okay, we need to look at this issue. What is going on here? But people don't like that, because people like the things they can point the finger out outside. So if you just say, institutional racism, everybody claps and cheers, right? That's the answer to everything. Every problem, any problem a minority has anywhere in the world, institutional racism. Boom.
And that's why I don't mean to get political, but that's why I can't stand the liberal party here in America, man. The left, they do a great job at doing just that, and then we just fall right in line. We just vote for them without any questions, without any, you got to do this for us specifically. Yeah. We don't do any of that. We just give them the vote.
It's a funny one, man. And I'll be honest with you, bro. I'll be 100% honest with you. The demographic of people who I seem to polarize most are Black Americans.
I'm sure.
Right? After all of like my podcasts and my interviews and everything like that, there's no other sort of group or demographic
because it's a threat to our psychosis. We have like a normalcy. No, it's called cognitive dissonance, right?
Yeah.
When something that subconsciously is correct, but it's a complete threat to everything you grew up on. Everything you knew was a fact, was true.
Yeah,
that's why it's a threat. They're a threat to you.
Yeah, and it's weird because with the stuff I say, I'm trying to, it comes from a good place. Like, and I know this, right? Because so you'll get some people who take any kind of perceived criticism or acknowledgement even of certain things to be an attack, right? Everyone thinks everything is an attack. It's an attack. Yeah, he's attacking Black Americans. I'm not attacking. What do you mean I'm attacking Black Americans? I'm not attacking anybody. I am saying, yo, this thing is a problem. And actually, if the goal is to elevate in society as an individual or as a group, you need to be open to feedback, right? You can't just be told you're perfect. If you have a student who keeps, not doing as well in class as his other students, and you tell them, no, you're perfect, right? You're perfect. You're not doing anything wrong. In fact, the only reason you're getting lower grades is because the principal is racist. Right? That student is never gonna improve, right? You need to understand, like, oh, actually, there are other factors here. Look, certainly from a historical concept, from a historical context, is racism both now and historically possibly going to be a factor and probably a factor? Yes, and I don't deny that. Do I think that it is the biggest one in the room? Is that the big elephant in the room in 2020? I don't think so, right? Maybe if I were talking to a Black American in 1930 or something, or even a Black British person in 1930, my view on this would be quite different. But in the modern society, in the modern era, no matter your skin color, your sex, your gender, etc., I do not believe that if you live in the UK or you live in the USA, that any of those things, individually or combined, are going to keep you from success. I don't buy that. I really don't buy
it's it. Not. I agree to a certain extent with you on that. I think it's a different type of racism today.
Yeah.
And I heard someone, I can't remember who, but he made the example of a Black person in America today is like a kid in a classroom, and he's sitting. You got the white kid at the front of the classroom with a paper bag, and he shoots it into the trash can. Swish. Mm-hmm. The Black kid is near the back of the classroom. He can hit it, but it's going to take a lot more luck or whatever skill or whatever, to make that shot.
Yeah, so, no, I understand that. And do you know, firstly, what I would think of that is, I don't think this is in a weird way, how would I put this? I think that the issue gets racialized, even though the issue is not directly to do with race. See what I mean? So using what you just said, in terms of probability of looking at the overall country, then that kid at the front is more likely to be a white kid than a Black kid.
Yes.
There are a lot of white kids at the back, and there are a lot of Black kids at the front. You see what I mean? So it's yeah. So the factors are not about the race. I would say that socioeconomic factors, class, family structure, parents education, location, urban versus suburban versus rural. All of these things are factors.
Hope you guys enjoyed part 2. Part 3 coming. It is going to be epic how we end this conversation. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this. I'm out of here. Holla.